Have you recently purchased a Ventrac tractor? Or are you looking to purchase a Ventrac tractor and want to know how to operate it and all the functions and features? Well, I'm going to briefly explain that today. Hey guys, Zach here from Kubota of Lynchburg, and today I wanted to go over our Ventrac lineup and our basically how to use the tractor, how to operate the tractor, and all the little functions and features that go with it. So I've got with me a couple different ones today, but right here I've got what was our demo last year and this year. So it's got some of the accessories and features and options on it that I want to show you guys. So I'll show you guys the different things like the controls, how to operate it, some tips and tricks that I've learned from Ventrac and their representatives and using these. And kind of go over just the basic features of one of these and little things you should know before you buy or use a Ventrac. There's probably more you should know, more than this video is going to show you, but this will give you a good overview. So I have this one displayed with a tough cut on the front that I'll show you guys some little features on. Not really the tough cut, but how to use this, because there's like called weight transfer systems and everything to this unit. But first what I'm going to do is show you the basic control and layout of the operator station. So you have 2-seat options on this. And real quick on this is a 4520Z. There are 4 models, the Z, the N, the Y, and the K. I had to think about that one. I don't sell many of the Ks. So, and those are all the exact same machine other than the engine and how much torque that engine produces. So the Z is a Kubota gas engine, 32 horsepower, and it's carbureted. So you have a choke right here. The N is going to be the Kubota gas engine that's fuel injected. The Y is going to be the Kubota diesel. Notice lots of Kubota engine options. Love that as a Kubota dealer. And then the K is going to be that Kawasaki engine, which is really good on slopes for long-term slope uses. So you have different engine options. All your controls, other than your choke, your glow plugs, or no choke because it's fuel injected, are going to be identical between the machines. I mean, everything else is exactly the same. So if we hop on here, this is the standard seat. There is a suspension seat, heated seat option. So if you're working on cold weather or this is just a little too uncomfortable, you can get a nicer seat option for it. You can get armrests for this seat or the other seat. Again, it comes down to personal preference. I don't like them. I feel like they get in my way, getting on and off and moving around on a Ventrac. On hills and slopes, it is kind of nice to kind of brace yourself against them. So again, pros and cons. But first what we're going to get into is starting the machine. So to start the machine on something that's not diesel or fuel injected, you're going to pull your choke. You've got your ignition switch on this side with just a normal key. Put that in, and you're going to turn it on and choke out. So very simple there. On the Kubota and gas, you have to choke it almost every time I've noticed when starting them. Every once in a while you'll be fine, or if you turn it off, you can start it right back up if it's soon enough. So you see that? Choke out, in, and that's your normal procedure. That's normal for all those, so don't worry about it if your machine is doing that. After that, you have your parking brake. It's pretty obvious, looks like a parking brake here. You have to take that off before running the machine, because if I were to push forward now, you can hear it bogging down real bad because you're riding against the parking brake. Don't do that, it's bad for the machine. So you want parking brake off, and then you can move back and forth. That's about it for your controls on the front, which sounds weird. There's not much right in front of you other than your display. So I'm going to turn the tractor off. I'm going to turn it on again. It's not starting. Parking brake does have to be on to start. So make sure your parking brake is on to start the machine. So if you forgot that and you go to turn it and your ignition switch does nothing, parking brake on. On your dashboard, I'm going to show you guys real quick. Actually, you can probably keep holding it and look in. So right here on your dashboard, you're going to have a couple features. You're going to have your RPMs right here, your temperature gauge, which is very important if you're working in thick material. Keep an eye on that. And then, of course, your fuel gauge, and you've got an hour meter there. Now, when you're running the machine, parking brake on. I just did what I talked about. It'll give you your battery voltage, so you know if your battery's going weak or something like that. And if you look right over here, you can kind of see it. This is an option we have here. This is a slope indicator. So we are filming on a little bit of a slope here today. So this is a slope gauge. So if you were to be running on a hillside and you're only allowed to run up to 25 degrees, let's say now with the dual wheels you can run up to 30-degree slope, you'll know roughly where you're at. Some municipalities and stuff, you know, they have these on here so they can tell their operators if it hits above, you know, 29 degrees, just stop, don't go there. Some people want to push a little bit further and just have that for fun to gauge it. That's what I would do. If it's over 30, great, still send it. And, you know, it's I've done it before, and it's a little sketchy. Wear your seatbelt, but as long as you still feel good, these things are very good on hills and slopes. So that's your very basic operator layout. There's not much here. Now, as you go back, you get more controls, and these have some additions to it. So this handle is not the standard handle. Trying to look, I might have another one over there we'll look at in a minute, but we have some additions, these extra buttons and knobs here that aren't on a standard model, and that's to run extra hydraulics and electronics. So normally on a Ventrac, you'll have one set of ports here, just this first one, and that's it. On this one, we've added a socket here, your 12-volt socket for running electronics off the front, and an extra set of ports. So you have 4 total outlets and an extra socket. And the reason that's important, I'm actually going to show you guys on this one real quick, is if you were going to run something like a power rake, which is really common for the Ventracs, a power rake has multiple functions and features, and you need your 12-volt plug-in, one set of hydraulics to angle it back and forth, and another set of hydraulics to raise and lower it. So you have 4 total hydraulic lines and 1, you know, volt line. So if you're going to run one of these fancier attachments, not like a bucket or tough cut or a stump grinder, none of those require the 12-volt, you'll need to have those extras to it. And so, you know, if you see those on it, or you're planning on getting something a little bit nicer, like the seed box or aerator, that's going to require electronics to drop the seed properly, go ahead and get those right away from the factory, or, you know, buy the kit and install those. So back to the operator station here. These SDLA controls, oh Lord, I'm trying to think of what SDLA stands for. I don't know, I've just always called them SDLA. I learned what it is. I'm going to have to look that up or put that in the video. But SDLA controls, I can't think of what the acronym is right now. But this is how you control the movement of the machine, as well as raising and lowering your implement on the front, all with your hand. I have on here an optional foot accelerator pedal, which is, you see, works with your SDLA controls, so you can choose to operate the machine running forward and back by feet if you want to. If you want to have your hands free for talking on your cell phone or doing something, or drinking a beer or doing something else, great. But at the same time, a lot of people will operate with just their hands. I prefer to operate with just my hands. It's a little bit more fine controlled in my opinion, and it's a little bit easier to maneuver around. So I'm going to show you guys that real quick. So park and brake off. This is going to be pushing forward. You let go, it stops. Pushing back. And if I were to push side to side, I raise or lower my implement side to side. Now this back handle is linked. I could use just this back handle for the exact same thing other than the side to side. That side to side is actually putting pressure. You can hear the whine on it, putting pressure on the hydraulic systems. That would be your secondary valve, you know, to raise and lower that power rake. And you have the buttons to control which implement which cylinder you're using, and your electronics all by this. But mainly this is your forward and reverse. Now, if you push all the way over, which is what you're going to do a lot, you notice my mower deck just dropped. This is called float position. A lot of times using mower decks and other implements, aeravators and everything like that, you're going to have it in a float position, which means the weight of the machine rides on the ground smoothly. And that's going to be good for hills and slopes and maneuvering around. And you can still move while it's in float position just fine. And then pop it back out of float. You can raise it up if you want to and go forward and back. Notice real quick, when I let off, it stops, right? All right. What we're going to do is there's this lever right here. If you want to zoom in, it says, we're on the bottom one right now, it says auto. And if I take it off, it says no auto. So I'm going to push this lever up. Now watch what happens. If I pull back, I let off, well, I'm going uphill, so not the best scenario. If I go down, it's like cruise control. All right, so I'm going no hands, no feet, yay. So it's basically a cruise control. You have to be a little bit more cautious with this, because if you don't think about it and you're backing up and you go to do something else and it still keeps going, you could be a little bit more dangerous with it. But if you have long pastures you're cutting or long hills, you might want to just do this. It doesn't take near as much pressure to keep it going, and it makes life a lot easier than your auto. So let me turn it off for a second. That's the operation of forward and reverse. Your big yellow button here, just like any lawnmower or anything like that, that's going to be your PTO on or off. So to turn on your implement on the front, on and off. You've got headlights here. There's a lot of other accessories, again, municipalities might have, which is going to be your like ROPS lights if you were to put other LED lighting on it, a strobe light kit for, again, municipalities or hillside mowing and mowing along the road, hazard lights, and turn signals. So you can fill these up with optional accessories. Other than that, right here, you have a cup holder. I've got some extra pins and everything in there. You've got some fuses right next to it, and some other fuse control panels and everything down here. That would be if you were doing repairs. The other buttons here are going to be, this is going to be attaching or detaching your implement. So you have to flip this little lever to allow you to flip it over. And if I were to pull up here, which I'm going to do in a second, Lee, if you zoom in up front here, see where that little hook goes around the pin? So if I pull up on this black lever here, you're going to see that raises up, and I push down, that locks it back in. So once you line up, you can lock and unlock your implement by using this lever, and that's how it's going to work. And if we look at this tractor right here, you'll see what you're doing is these two arms, your quick attach arms, is what's raising and lowering. Sorry, there we go. Well, it's raising and lower when you're pushing that lever to raise and lower, and those side pieces are what's going to lock into the pins here. This arm slides into this bracket right there, and then your arm piece goes in and locks over here, which locks it all together. Lining it up can be very easy or very difficult. There'll be times I'll be cursing at these things, and there'll be times that it slips right in, and it really comes with experience, because you want to come in at an angle, and there's other videos for it. I don't have time to show you guys all this today, but you come in at an angle, then you raise up, then you lower down, then you raise up, and you keep inching your way in until everything lines up and slides in. Again, it can be very smooth and easy, or very difficult to line that up. So basically, trial and error. If the implement has a kickstand, like some of these implements have kickstands to them, I'm trying to see one to make it a little easier. You might want to use that kickstand to help line those things up, and then put your belt on. Let's see. Other than operational, that's about it for operational on there. The only other thing, your only other lever is right here. And this is important. So this is going to be your high and low range. You can see rabbit for high range, turtle for low range. I'm probably standing in the way, so let me move. There you go. And you have to have your parking brake off while doing this. And the reason being is you won't be able to push it past neutral once you're doing that. The issue with having your parking brake off, though, is if I have it in neutral right now and I let go, you see it starts to roll. Do not ever change between high and low range on a hill or a slope. You will have a scary ride to the bottom that you cannot stop. Because once you put this in neutral and you take this parking brake off, you're gone. So between high and low, flat ground only. So now I put the parking brake on, I can finish putting it into low range, and we're good to go. But high range is for moving quick one place to the other. Low range for heavy duty work and everything like that to it. Fuel, again, most of these are gas, but if you have a diesel one, you've got gas. I'm rolling again. Let me put parking brake on. On the back side of these, there's not a ton to it. You can buy one with a 3-point hitch kit to attach rear implements to, which is kind of cool. So you can run your tractor implements on the rear, or easily move around some of the Ventrac implements with it. You have a 2-inch receiver right here if you were to put your ball hitch in to pull around trailers and everything. Got a little pin holding it. And they come standard with these extra weights to provide counterbalance when you're picking up heavy loads or using a heavy implement here. You've got some of your service stuff back here, so make sure you follow your owner's manual as far as service intervals. Something kind of cool about Ventrac is if you look underneath the hood, as far as service goes, they will actually put in here their frequent service guides, the oil amounts, your fuel amounts, what oils to use, what fluids to use, all those kind of things, which is kind of nice. You can flip up your hood, you can write your dates and everything on there and keep track of it. So this is, something that real quick in the field you can get to. As far as in the engine's bay, other than service, one of the most important things to do, because if this thing overheats, the first thing you want to do is check your radiator screen right here. Brush that off. I guarantee this thing is going to get clogged. It's going to happen all the time. That's what it's there for, though. It's there to design to catch all that extra chaff and stuff that you're chopping through. So take this out, brush it off, clean it up, put it back in. If you're overheating, good to go again. Start to overheat, first thing to check is that. And of course, check your engine oil levels at the appropriate times and everything like that. You have another fuse box in here and some other things to be worrying about, and your hydraulic oil level there. Again, you're supposed to be checking that realistically every time you use it, but probably every 20, 30 hours, something like that. Check your hydraulic oil level to it. So that's underneath the hood on these. It takes a little bit more time to explain, so I wanted to do that kind of last on it, is the weight transfer system. So we have our weight transfer here. So right now, I've got this tough cut on the front. I think it weighs like 460 pounds. So it's pretty heavy. If you have this raised in the air and you're driving sideways on a hill, that weight, or let's not even raise in the air, it's on the ground mowing, that weight is going to be pulling you down the hill. All that extra weight is pulling you down. It's going to be harder to maintain your traction and everything on that hillside. So what Ventrac has done, which is amazing, is they put some giant ass springs on this thing. And what it does is, actually you're going to come in and zoom in, I'm not moving on this one, is there's a 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 here. And I count those basically as 10%. So you have 0%, 10%, 20%, 30%, and 40%. And what does that mean? That means right now that it's on 0, I am taking 0 weight of that tough cut and putting it on the front tires, the front axle of the machine. So all 463 pounds of the tough cut is on the the tough cut. But if I'm running those hills and slopes, I might want to take that weight off of the tough cut, put it on your front tires where you actually have traction and control of, and you'll get a lot better stability on hills and slopes. So you would raise it all the way up. You would unlock it, and let's say this sometimes takes some pressure. Oh, let's see if I can do it. And I don't know if I've adjusted this one in a long time. I might not be able to do it right now by hands. Oh, there we go. I just didn't have it unlocked all the way. So unlocked, now actually by finger I can change it. So let's say I have this tough cut on and I want to put it on 40. When I drop this thing back on the ground, you can see how slow it lowers, because now instead of 460 pounds on it, there's only about 200 pounds of machine weight on the tough cut. All the rest is transferred to this front axle. So that giant spring is taking the pressure, and it's nice. Now let's say you're running a stump grinder. A stump grinder doesn't want all the weight on either. It kind of wants to kind of float in the middle. So then I might change it to 20% of the weight goes on the machine and the rest goes on the stump grinder. So each implement is going to have its own sweet spot. But if you're mowing, whether it's a tough cut or a finish mower or something like that, on a hill or bank, put your weight transfer on 4 and you'll see a ton of better stability. And there's other videos. Ventrac has a great video out there on how to adjust them, what all the means are, and they've calculated all the weights and everything. But that's one of these cool things about it, is that transferable weight between implement to tractor. Other than that, keep it greased. Always grease it. Keep your belts tight. Keep some extra spare parts with you as you're going. But these things are amazing on hills and slopes. They're very easy to operate once you hop on here and start to learn how to use the SDLA controls. And these machines are the most versatile tractor. I sell a lot of different brands and stuff, and I will tell you, the most versatile tractor that you can get is a Ventrac. So hopefully that helps as you're looking to maybe buy a Ventrac or just bought one. If you have questions about yours, feel free to leave me a comment. Let me know.